Good evening, glory, hallelujah to you. What the heck's your story? What's growing through you? This is the glorified version of a Bassin talk show. I'm your host, Pat Renwick, and give it up for yourself, Bass Galaxy. Happy Wednesday night. Yes. Here we are again. Some proper Bassin talk. Live AF and available on all podcast platforms mañana. That's Stray Cast. Hey, tonight we are ecstatic that, Andy, I figured it out. This is our 11th year of interviewing our guest, Greg Hackney, tonight. Yikes. Holy shit. It's a lot. In the past 8 seasons, this is his 8th season on Stray Cast, Ginge. Pretty excited about that. Hey, you Bass Galaxy, this show is for you. That's why we do this deal. And why don't you, while you're at it, join JR, old Rock and Shoal Fantasy, on the chat board. Yeah. You know JR. It's all part of his Rock and Shoal Fantasy. Here's why I'm saying that. First off, it's fun to interact. And second off, it's fun to win stuff, right? Come on. You want to win stuff? Yeah, I know you do. Yeah, exactly. Get this. Not one, not two, but again, we're going all out because Hack's on the show. 3 like and share prizes. Yes, 3. 3 of them. Yep. All right, here it is. First one is the Stray Cast grab bag. It's a personal pick from Stray Cast, us, and myself and Andrew Ellenberger. We're going to go downstairs and pick something cool and send it out to you guys. Now, it depends on how nice you are to us. So in the comments, besides like and sharing to win the Stray Cast grab bag from Andy and I's personal collection, in the comments, butter us up. Yeah, we take bribes. So if you want to win this one tonight, you butter up Andrew Ellenberger, the Ginger Ninja, especially on Facebook. Like and share the live Facebook feed. Prize 1 is that chance to win the Stray Cast Extravaganza Fun pouch worth $50 or more. All right. Hey, here's the next one. Get this. It is a tin cup whiskey Greg Hackney pack. That's right. Foley loves Hackney. So he's got a special Hack Attack tin cup deal he's giving away to the whole Bass Galaxy. Like and share the live Facebook feed. That's prize number 2. And here it is, prize number 3, and he doesn't know about it yet. But Greg Hackney's giving you something. For real. Out of his garage. It's called the Stray Cast Garage Prize. Could be a rusty screwdriver. Could be an alligator tooth. You never know. Could be a cool plug. Like and share the live Facebook feed. Your chance to win 3 prizes tonight. Announced here live on the show. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, do you know who the best dang producer in Bassin is? Yeah, he's eccentric. He's very eccentric. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Andrew Ellenberger, the eccentric Ginger Ninja.
Hey,
yes.
Hey, Pat. Hey, Bass Galaxy.
How you doing, bud?
I'm all right, and you?
Yeah, you fished a whole derb.
Full 8 hours.
Yeah, full 8 hours. You did better when you fished half a derb.
I did, definitely. It's not favorable. Oh, well.
It's not like you were Timmy Horton back in the day ordering a pizza half a derb. You had to take the girls to hockey.
Sun was shining. What are you going to do?
How you doing? You feeling okay?
Yeah.
You feeling good?
You ready to rock?
This cold front's gone. We've been bundling up the last few days. It's going to get warm again.
Hopefully.
You derbing this weekend, bud?
Yes.
What do you got?
Tater.
Oh, old Tater Creek.
And then Jorge.
And then a double derber?
A double derber.
Are you kidding? On Father Day weekend?
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe. I don't know.
Wow.
Things have changed.
Speaking of that, Andy, you're one of the best dang dads I know. Happy Father's Day
Same
to you, bud. Thank you. And all you dads out there.
Yeah, happy.
In the Bass Galaxy.
Enjoy your weekend of grilling.
Yeah. Exactly. And doing stuff. Jasmine and I are going Bassin Sunday. I can't wait. Hey, Ginge, you know Benny. You know Benny, our buddy. I want to say a special get well to him. Crestliner Benny. He is a little under the weather, and he's a great friend of mine, and I hope that you feel better, Ben, and you're out there smashing them soon. All right, moving it right along. You good, Ginge? Hey, Ginge, you know what I don't like? Know-it-alls. Yeah, Ginge, talk to me. Are you good now? Are you on other duties? I said duty. Ginge, I'm not into know-it-alls. You know why? Because one time, a know-it-all thinks they know it all. And what they're missing out on is the information available to them at their fingertips. And you know where they find it, Ginge? Tell me. Gingy, can't you talk to me? All right, I will hold on. Give me elevator music until we're ready. What is he doing? Holy Comongo. All right, now are we back at it?
Yeah, we're good. Let's go.
Bump, bump. All right, let's do a couple things. All right, Ginge, you know why I don't like know-it-alls?
Why?
Because they think they know everything about their home lakes. I was talking to you about derbies.
Yeah.
All right, you know why I don't like know-it-alls? They know it all. Duh.
Nobody does.
Now, they think they do, and you know what they don't do? They don't shop by lake at Omnia when they know it all. And all you got to do, OmniaFishing.com, shop by lake. Boom.
It's a fun feature.
You do it all the time. And here's what you do. It's like, okay, kind of sneak on it. And if you are a know-it-all, you could be like, oh, I'm on that. But if you don't know about it, you could be like, they're flipping a tube on that lake. Interesting. Okay, so get it all. Shop by lake, OmniaFishing.com. Gingy, customer service is everything in bass fishing. And we have two advertising partners that are bar none the top in customer service throughout the Bass Galaxy, and that's Impulse Lithium and Power Pole. And those of you that don't know, I'm sure maybe you have had experiences with Power Pole, new Impulse Lithium battery owners. I have things happen to my Impulse Lithium battery, and I got to tell you, it's never the battery's fault. It's always my fault. But Bill and Darlene are always there for me, as are all the people at Power Pole. It's Sims time, Sims Summer Fishing. It's there. Sims Summer Fishing time. Jim, what's your favorite Sims piece of clothing?
That new Pro Guide, the sun hoodie. It's like got cooling in it.
The fancy one.
Yeah.
The new fancy one.
It's like it feels cold all the time. It's weird.
Yeah.
But it's awesome.
Yeah, I seen it at the Classic.
It feels cold. It's crazy. It's thing.
Is it like Mike Tyson is putting ice on your neck while
awesome.
you're on the water?
And it's got the gator, everything in the hood. It's just get one.
Ginge, you know what can get you in trouble? If you take your whiskey home too often. Yes! There he is.
What's going on?
It's the Whiskey Gypsy. It's Luke Foley.
How is everyone?
Yeah, we're doing great, dude. We're happy you're here bringing us the official Tin Cup Whiskey Word of the Week on the Greg Hackney Show. What do you think about that, bud?
I'm excited to hear old Hackney tonight.
You love Greg Hackney.
I do.
Yeah.
The last year when they canceled that third day on Santee, I gotta go hang out over at his boat, and guy knows a lot of sneaky stuff.
Oh, he does.
He's on another level, that's for sure. I got to sit and learn from him, and it was a good afternoon for me. I can tell you that.
100% another level. Well said, Foles. Well said. Hey, bud, I'm happy to have you here tonight, especially we're off a week. We miss you on Wednesday nights. And for those that don't know, on Wednesday nights, Luke Foley brings us the Tin Cup Whiskey Word of the Week. And whenever you hear this word, you take a sip. Now, it could be an orange juice. It could be a cafe con leche. It could be an ice cold Coca-Cola. It could be an iced tea, or it could be a Tin Cup Mountain Whiskey, the official brown liquor of Bassin. And if you take a sip, remember, what do you do, Foles? You sip responsibly, right?
You sip responsibly.
Because you're at home and don't go anywhere, and Foley will call you off work tomorrow.
Absolutely.
If you get wild.
Hackney's on tonight. It's a day of celebration.
So with that being said, what's the Tin Cup Whiskey word of the week?
I think we got to run it back for the last time he was on there.
What's
Whenever
that?
he says, you know what I mean, or you know what I'm saying.
Wow.
Whenever he says those two things.
That's too hard to keep track of. So
no, it's not. We had a great time with it last time.
Okay, well, you guys, you on the chat board, you guys are all in charge of that then. So
you know what I mean, you know what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, all right, and it's if Hackney goes, then you got to take 3 shots. Okay? If he does the Hackney shotgun click, you got to take 3 shots.
That's right.
And again, drink responsibly, and Foley's calling you off work tomorrow.
Absolutely.
So get this, Foley. You are eligible for 2 of the 3 like and share contests tonight. Now, the first one is the Stray Cast Fun Pouch, and that's all kinds of good stuff right here from the Stray Cast studio. And Andy and I are going to build up a special bag of goodness and butter us up on the chat board. Yeah, for that winner. And the randomizer's going, so butter us up, though. Butter us up. Hey, and Foles, you could also win if you like and share this live Facebook feed. You and the whole Bass Galaxy can win this. It's a Greg Hackney deal from his garage. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I want that.
Yeah. It might be a can opener. You don't even know. You don't even know what it is. It could be a lizard tongue.
It's something to Greg's. Yeah. I got 2 of his flipping sticks one time.
And then
awesome.
The other one you're not eligible for because you've already won, besides in life. You have won the Tin Cup Whiskey giveaway tonight, the special hack batch. Yeah.
I got to come strong to that one.
Yeah. You can't win that one. But the Bass Galaxy has a chance to win the Stray Cast, the Hack Pack, and the Tin Cup Whiskey Pack. Like and share the live Facebook feed tonight. 3 chances. Foles, you got a derb this weekend?
I do. I got a BFL on the Ohio River, so I'm getting ready for it tonight and been getting ready for it the last couple of days and just about got everything done.
Yeah. Ginger's laughing at you.
Excited to go.
Yeah.
I know.
There's 7 fish in there. There's 7. So good luck to you and good luck to all our horses in the race tomorrow in the Opens. Hey, Bass Galaxy, put the power poles down. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with Bassin legend Greg Hackney.
Love you guys.
Love you too, bud. Thanks, Foles. Thanks, Tin Cup Whiskey.
There's a moment when you're faced with a challenge, and just solving the problem isn't good enough, even if that means breaking the rules and shredding apart conventional ways of thinking, all in the name of creating something truly remarkable. With this much control at its command, we didn't stop with just one. We created 2 incredible trolling motors. Introducing the new Power Pole Move brushless trolling motor.
This is the mountain, and this is mountain whiskey. Unspoiled, untamed, forever wild. There's no safety net, no way down. Up here, it's just man and the mountain and his tin cup. Tin Cup Whiskey. Mountain whiskey.
Want to know the difference between power bait and other soft plastics? Ask the fish. Berkeley scientists have. Thousands of flavors tested on thousands of fish. Natural. Man-made. Every bait that's ever hit the water. No matter the shape, size, or color, power bait is the only one that is scientifically proven. Fish bite and will not let go.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, buddy.
Realize your boat's potential with outboard performance accessories that improve the handling, speed, and economy of your boat. Find your perfect accessory from Bob's Machine.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Make no mistakes about it. This is the one and only proper Bassin Talk, glorified version of a bass talk show. And we are proud to bring to you, for the 11th year in a row, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Mr. Greg Hackney. Yes. Yes.
How you doing, Pat?
Welcome back to Straight Cast, Mr. Hackney. I'm doing amazing. How are you?
Hey, can you see me?
I can see you good. Can you see me?
I cannot.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there you are.
Hey, look at me now.
You're looking good.
Thanks, bud. And you look way better, just let me tell you. Where are you at right now?
Oh, I'm just sitting in the house in the quiet room.
Oh, okay. That's in the quiet room. I gotcha.
Quiet.
Okay, excellent, dude. Hey, it's great to have you back, bud. It's been
It's good to be here.
Andy and I were talking about it, and you did the radio show with us for 3 years. 3 of those years on the radio show, on the Bass Buzz radio show outside Chicago, and then 8. This is your 8th time now on Stray Cast, bud. So thank you for that, Greg. Thank you.
That's surely that's some type of milestone.
I mean, to me it is. I'm going to back up, and I don't talk about things like this on the show. This is about you anglers. But 12 years ago, started this deal, and then 11 years ago started interviewing Bass Pros. First interview, Bill Dance. It was horrible, Greg. Horrible interview I did. Second interview was our friend Mark Zona. That I felt comfortable with. And Z and I kind of hit it off a little bit. Third interview, a guy named Aaron Martins, and the fourth interview was you. And man, I mean, it's cool to get to know professional anglers who we have admired as bass fishing fans for so many years. And that's the premise of this show. I don't give a shit about me. I want to talk about you boys and what you do for the history of bass. And so thank you, Greg Hackney. Thank you. Dang straight.
And how about that? This is our first time to share the boat together was this year.
I know. Amazing. Hey, dude, I was like a little kid. I felt like Buddy the Elf the whole time. I'm not going to kid you. It's like you were Santa. It was pretty special. I'm not going to kid you. And at the beginning, when we have legends like you on, we do the ass kissing at the beginning of the show, and we get that over with. Okay. So I got to tell you this, man. I got to tell you this. All kidding aside, you know who I've been in the boat with before. You're the best angler I have ever shared a boat with.
Oh wow.
Yes.
I may have tears.
But I mean, I'm just a bass fishing freak fan. That's all I am. And bass fishing talk show host, no professional angler, but I am a student of the sport, bud.
Well, I appreciate that. That's very flattering.
I learned more in that time with the boat with you than I did with some legends. Now, not that maybe I may have other legends. I may have learned more from them at a different period of their life if I had been with them. But in my experiences as a Bassmaster Marshal, which is a beautiful thing, by the way, anybody can sign up for that. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, it is a good deal.
Yeah, where do you get to fish with your heroes and stars of any professional sport, but as a Bassmaster Marshal? Pretty cool. But
I would enjoy doing that. There are several guys out there, a lot of them that I would like to spend the day in the boat with. Some of them just to intimidate them, and some of them I would enjoy.
Hey, I'm going to throw my buddy under the bus, but Fighter wants to be a marshal for you. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
Fighter not long, dude. Like we kind of have a little bit of that same vibe deal going.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I could tell, like they say. You know what I mean? Yeah, and he was jealous when I got the draw. He was like, I was with him when I got the text, and he's like, "You old sailor, you." That's not what he said, but but no, man, it's really cool. One of the things I learned about you, Greg, being in the boat with you, is you self-proclaimed opportunist. I loved that. You said repeatedly, "I'm an opportunist, Pat. I'm an opportunist."
It is what it is.
Does that apply to everything in life?
It really does. I just think that's kind of the best way to live life.
Yeah.
Just when that opportunity arises, you just have to make the most of that opportunity.
Because let's think about it. The reason we're here, and we'll get to that later, is because of the largemouth bass, or because of a bass, because of a fish. And every bass that we are fortunate enough to have this passion for is an opportunist themselves. So the correlation is there, Greg. 100%, man. Hey, another thing I observed about you on the boat, you figure things out quickly, eliminate things quickly, and change quickly, like a chameleon. You were on heavy tackle to spin poles. I mean, you had a whole side of spin poles on Murray. Porosnik was making fun of you.
Yeah, I think that's the deal. You have to be prepared for every opportunity.
Yeah, you had like 8 spin poles rigged, dude.
Yeah, I think it was 6.
I was being dramatic for television
Maybe
purposes.
4, actually.
No, it was more than 4.
Yeah, it was. I did have a lot of rods out there. There was a lot of stuff going on there. There were herring bites and flipping bites and sight fishing deal, and there was a lot going on at Murray. But what a great place! And I'll be honest with you, that's the best lake we fished this year by far.
I saw crazy stuff. Yeah, unreal. The amount of fish. You'd be like, "Pat, there's one over there, 8 pounds." I'm like, "Nah, whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, wow, it is."
They were swimming where it's crazy.
Unreal, man. One of my favorite things about you, observing in the boat, Greg, is that you talk, and you mostly talk to you. Even though you might be talking to me, you're talking to you. And you pick things apart out loud. And there's got to be so much more going on in your brain, but your mouth can only say so much. Does that make sense?
It does. I guess I've learned to talk to myself because I spend a lot of time with myself.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm like that.
And I'm glad to know that I'm not crazy because I do the same thing a lot too. I mean, and I think it helps us figure things out. I see it helping you on the water figuring it out. Aaron did it too. Another person that's been an honor to share the boat with. He talked out loud all the time about breaking things down. Fighter does the same thing too. It's a talent. I believe it's certain individuals have to do that because
helps to talk about it. I don't know. I've never really thought about that, but again, I'm like, we do spend so much time on the water by ourselves. Maybe I do think out loud, I mean, I try not to talk to myself in the third person.
Yeah. Yeah, that would get like George on Seinfeld.
About like quite that far down the deal, but yeah.
Hey, Gingy, you were saying something. I didn't hear you.
I have him tilt your phone just a little down so we can see you.
There you go.
There he is.
Yeah, there's that amazing beard now. All right, we got you. Yeah. I mean, the whole thing is, man, you have to be able, as you say yourself, keep things honest with yourself on the water. That's hard to do, isn't it, Greg?
So I'm probably a person that it's a character flaw. I have a tendency to be hard-headed. And that's one of the things that I, even as much as I fish, I need to learn to do better and keep an open mind and not get locked into, especially, I'll be honest with you, we fish so many events in the spring of the year where things are changing daily, hourly, by the minute, and that's probably the reason if we fished in the summertime, I can go back to fishing with 3 or 4 rods, okay? Because things don't change very much.
Gotcha.
But those spring of the year tournaments, from we start in February, they're changing daily. And I'll be honest with you, it's a hard deal because of that, And I still can look back on a couple tournaments this year where I was around the right ones, and I still was probably a little hard-headed and didn't make adjustments when I should have. And I try to do that, and it's probably the older I get, harder to do that. It was a lot easier for 30-year-old Greg to make those adjustments than it is 49-year-old Greg. Does that make sense?
It does.
I want to lock one rod. If I could only fit, and I don't care what bait it is. So here's the deal. It's a big misconception. I don't care how I'm catching them. But I would, in my mind, to me, I'm a lot better when I can lock 1 or 2 poles in my hand. But it seems like because of fishing pressure, advancements in technology, the anglers are so much better than they were in the past that very, very seldom anymore do I get to fish what I call very, very simple. It seems like I'm, having to make more adjustments on the fly all the time, just because the fish are changing, the weather, whatever it may be. But I mean, I'll be honest with you. To me, fishing's harder now than it's ever been in any time in my career.
Wow.
It is. There's so many great anglers on the water, not only our group, but local anglers, and there's so much technology out there, and it's making what we do. I'll be honest with you. I think we're in the period of time, and basically for sure in my career, that fishing is the hardest it's ever been. It's the hardest it is to compete at the level that we do because our anglers are so much better. I've said that with every decade, but right now we're at the pinnacle of advancements in fishing.
Is that because of technology? Is that why they're the best?
Because of technology, and not only, let's just say, it's not only our electronics. It is that you and I are talking to one another 1,200 miles apart, and we're looking at one another. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that all that live is out there. Guys are able to, what used to, I would have to read in the Bassmaster and then take it to the lake and decipher what was written in the Bassmaster magazine and learn how to do it. Well, now, Pat, I can watch you on live win the event, and I can be out there while you're doing it and watching it on my phone, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So everything's advancing so much quicker now than it ever has been before, and it's a tough time to be a bass fisherman, especially to not only just, to compete on the weekend level, but to make a living as a bass fisherman is harder now than it's ever been before because of that. You know what I mean? We've created this monster which has grown our sport. All these things have grown our sport. Our sport's bigger now than it's been any time in my career, but the things that have grown it have also made it harder,
Grow the sport.
I mean, it is what it is. I think
You
it's
have
great sport. We got more people out there, but hey, man, it's tough. I think if you polled our entire elite field, I think they'll tell you that. I don't think I'm the only one that thinks that way. I think across the board, all of our guys are like, wow, man, our group catches them so well. I don't care if we're at the Sabine River or Lake Murray or Okeechobee or wherever we are. It's pretty incredible that what is caught at those events.
The best anglers in the world, in my opinion, right now are fishing are your peers and your competitors. But here's I got to tell you this. Hold on. This is going to be a tough pill for you to swallow right here. I got a couple parts to this, but the first thing is, in my opinion, as well as many others, I'm going to throw a percentage at you. You're probably 85% better than most of the anglers, or than the other anglers on the Elite Series. Equal to or better than 85%. I mean, it's a true fact, Greg. Here's the shocking part. Now, I promise you, I mean no disrespect by this at all. With as good of an angler as you are, and as amazing as you are at figuring things out, I find it odd. I think about it often that you're just not completely dominating the sport. I don't understand it. I don't know why. Does that sound weird to you or what?
I think the same way you do. So I'm my own biggest critic, but I have not been very happy lately. I've not for the last couple of years. So I'll be honest with you. Every year is different. So last year I had some good finishes. I never felt like I was around the fish to win the tournament. I felt like to some extent I made the best out of whatever I was on. Okay. This year has been the biggest disappointment since I've been back at the Elite Series, because this year, I'm not even going to say which events it were, but there's been 2 or 3 of them that I was around the fish. And I know this, I probably didn't know it before the event started, but after it started, that I was around enough fish to have a legit shot at winning the event. And I didn't perform, and it goes back to that deal that we talked about earlier. I made some adjustments, and then it's like when I got to a certain point, I could not adjust after that. And it really bothers me. And like I said, I'm my own biggest critic. Sometimes I have to lay off myself because I struggle with that. I've had a couple events that I was really around them, and I had really bad events, and I didn't fish very clean. And I don't know. This year has been a struggle. I'm glad I got some points at the last event and, moved back up, not much, but I did help myself a little bit in Angler of the Year standings. And of course I'm only for making the classic, but I'm like, man, I'm really disappointed that I just haven't fished very well this year. And I can look back to, 30-year-old me, when I was still, for sure piss and vinegar, and I still had some years like that where 1 or 2 bites is the difference in me competing for Angler of the Year and losing those 2 or 3 bites, and you're struggling to make the classic. And this year has been one of those years. And mentally, man, I'll be honest with you, mentally, I don't even know if starting the season, if I've ever been in a better place mentally, and it's just been a roller coaster, and I can't explain it. I've tried to do everything. I've done some things different in my life. I take a little, not great care of myself, but I do take better care of myself than I did. I quit treating my body like a carnival ride. You know what I mean? Just enjoying the ride.
Like a bobblehead.
Because I'll be honest with you about that. I still want to be competitive. I want to be competitive with these guys. I have thought about this. This is the youngest group of anglers on average I've ever competed against. Okay. That's one of the reasons they're so tough. They have more knowledge than they've ever had before. I told somebody this the other day. They're like, wow, they just catch them every day. You can't beat them down. And I'm like, well, think about it now. I don't know what the average age, I'm going to throw it out there and tell you it's somewhere between 30 and 35. Okay.
Okay.
Across the board for the Elite Series. Let's just say it's 35.
I'm with you.
I know how I was at 35. I felt like I was invincible, whether I was. But 35 is a great time of life. So they have more knowledge than I had at 35. Okay. Because of whether it be technology from the live, the information, they all tie an FG knot. They reel their spinning pole with their right hand. You know what I mean? It's a deal. They're all good at everything. Physically, they're in a great place. You know what I mean? 35 is, I think if you ask anybody out there, 35 is like prime of your life because you've reached a mental state. Your frontal lobe is completely reached maturity, but they're mature. But
for those without lobotomies.
Yeah. So they're just, I think that's one of the reasons that it is tougher. This group is younger. Think about this. I came into the elites fishing against my heroes. Okay.
Yeah.
Denny Pryor, Nixon. They were all really probably a hair younger than I am now, maybe my age. George Cochran. Ron Sheffield. They were all Mark Davis. You know what I mean? Like, I came into the elites against who's who of bass fishing.
100% you did.
But again, they were the only advantage. If I had any on them, it wasn't my knowledge. The only thing I made a hat on them was age, is that 35-year-old toughness. Well, now the roles are reversed.
Okay,
so
yeah.
I'm where they were against this group that I'll promise you is the strongest group at that age ever assembled across the field. So I don't know. That's the reason I've done things. I've done some biking. I've done some hiking. I've changed the way I eat. Because I still want to be competitive against this group. I will not give up against them.
We know that about you, and for real, you do look good. You were kind of puffy, Greg Hackney, for a while, eating lots of fried food, I'm sure, and doing whatever on the road.
Much the food, it might have been. Maybe I was indulging into just a little bit much of that 10 cup.
Oh,
if you know,
I see. You got bloated, in other words.
I was full. I
like. So you're relaxing.
The thing about it is I just felt like, I was going to have to make some adjustments or I wasn't going to be able to, to live up to my expectations, when those are really, that's all that matters,
Well,
but yeah, it's been fun. Like, I'll be honest with you, I've probably had more fun at the elite since I've been back than, it's still hard. You know what I mean? It's still hard, but it has been enjoyable. It's an enjoyable group to fish with. I like all those guys, and they're super competitive, and I think they've helped me in a way, to bring my competitiveness back, if that makes sense.
Good. That's good. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. Young Greg Hackney. Okay, so I'm taking you back here a little bit, but your first BASS derb ever. Do you know what you finished?
It wasn't good.
193rd.
Yeah, but here's the deal. It's a draw tournament. I can tell you day by day, hour by hour, how it went down.
But
those were draw turn. I lost the flip to use my boat, and I fished with this guy. I don't remember his name, but he ran a nitro. That's all I can remember. Is kind of a tall, slender guy. And anyway, I lose the flip to run my boat. I'll never forget this. And I had a really sharp tongue. I've always had one.
Yeah.
But it was sharp then. And so I lose the flip to use my boat. Whatever. It's my first Bassmaster tournament. We were at Lake of the Ozarks. It was won by Dan Moorhead.
Nice.
So anyway, we ran 3 or 4. He was on this point deal or whatever. We ran 3 or 4 of them, and we pulled up, and there was a blue heron on the end of the point. And he goes, "Oh, they're on this one. Look at that blue heron sitting there." And I said, "Yeah, look how skinny he is." Death just like we are. And then so then it got worse from there, because not the next day, I can't remember the guy I fished with the next day. Anyway, we went my boat the next day. Then the last day of the event, I draw Scott Rook, who is leading the tournament. Okay?
Yeah.
And he's like, "Man, if you'll just stay in the back of the boat and not fish today, and if I win this tournament, he felt like it was fixing to jumpstart his career, whatever." I'd fished against Scott my whole life.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Man, I'll help you down the road." Another story to that is I'm still waiting on the help. I hadn't got So I stayed in the back of the boat and let him fish. He was fishing between boat docks with a buzz bait. He ended up third. His trolling motor cable broke. Then I ran him from bluff end to bluff end on the big motor and let him fish, And he ended up third. So I think Dan Moorhead won. Sean Penn was second. And, of course, they were rooming together. They were on the same deal. And Rook ended up third. And so about that same time, I'll be honest with you, I also was signed up to fish. That was the first. I was, I had just won a BFL regional the fall before, qualified for the All-American the next year. And I also signed up for, at the time, was the Everstarts.
Yeah.
And I only fished 2 Bassmasters, I think, or maybe 3. I can't remember. But that whole draw deal, I couldn't catch them fast enough in a half a day deal. The only good thing about me fishing those draw tournaments on Bassmaster, honestly, the only thing was good. I drew Stacy King at Table Rock.
Nice.
It was the greatest learning experience. I'll be honest with you, of my whole, it ranks right up there as like one of the greatest learning experience of my whole professional career. It was somebody I really learned a lot from. I mean, we literally fished right behind his house. He pointed up the hill and said, "That's my house." We fished in Indian Creek, the creek he lived in, at the time. But that was a great deal. But other than that, I quit bass right after that, because the Everstarts, you drew a co-angler. So I had all day to do my deal.
Yeah.
The reason that I left, because I was like, man, I'm paying. And the entry fees for the opens at the time were $600. And they were $500 in the Everstarts, and they were $600, which was a lot of money then. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, I get all day over here to fish, do whatever I want to do. And so that was the reason I left. And I ended up really starting through FLW was because of the draw format. And then in 2002, I think it was 2002, Bass came up with that same format. The opens were.
And you won $50K.
Yeah, I won a tournament.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I was Angler of the Year that year, and made the 03 Classic. And funny story about that, I won the Arkansas State Federation tournament, and the state champion, they guaranteed a spot in the opens. And I used my spot through the Federation, and that's how I got in the opens in 02. And
dude, that's cool.
And we are today.
Yeah.
Bassmaster Elite Series fisherman Greg Hackney.
Exactly. And that's why I brought up that first derp, because I knew it gets you fired up when I talk about that. And I knew
when I fished, those guys, I'll be honest with you, other than Stacy King, about everybody I drew in that deal was a pot liquor, but the deal, that's one thing that made that deal so hard. You know what I mean? If you were fortunate enough to get a good partner, and he didn't have to be able to catch them, he just had to be on them, you could catch his fish. But if you drew somebody that wasn't on anything, but I totally get it. Everybody made you flip. You know what I mean? You never fished with anybody you didn't flip. You know what I mean? Flip a coin to see whose boat you're going to use. So you're kind of that deal. I didn't like it because it was a variable I couldn't control, if that makes sense.
Yeah, your decisions were semi in someone else's hands, and that don't work as far as bassing.
Work. The deal, we fish for 5 bass. I got all day long, and if it's okay if it takes me all day to catch them, you know what I mean?
That's your style.
I always wanted to fish bass, but because of money and because of that format, I left for a couple years, and then I rolled back just as soon as they came back with the other format. And then, I made the classic the next year back, in the
started it spinning. Started you spinning for real. So get this, we would be amiss if we didn't go over some of your stats here, because some people don't know exactly what you have done in this sport. So first off, 6-time BASS winner, right? 2005 AOY NFLW, right? 2009 Forest Wood Cup champion. What a Forest Wood Cup that was. Yikes. You did that one. 2014 BASS AOY and 2018 MLF world champion. And badass since you were born, pretty much. But dude, that's quite a bit of accomplishments. So there's still one illusion for you, or eluder, and that's, what have you been in, 15 or 17 classics so far?
I think last year. This year's classic was my 17th.
17. It's you want that trophy.
So I had a buddy of mine tell me today, it's funny that you say that about the classic. He's like, it's kind of like you that dog chasing a car. I was like, yeah, I've been chasing that car for a long time. I don't know what I'll do if I ever catch it.
Well, it's going to be crazy for you, because you and I have talked many times about the 12-year-old Greg Hackney at the Clun Classic on the Arkansas River, and what that did to your life. How that affected your life. And going through these statistics, you're on your way to having some of the best records on paper here ever as a bass angler. So I want to run some of this stuff by you here. Okay. You know how many BASS derbs you've been in, Greg?
I do not.
218 of them.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah. That's a lot of derbs. 218 derbs. You know how many times you cashed a check out of those 218? Take a guess.
I wouldn't have a clue.
176 times.
Yeah. That's all right.
That's all right. Yes, it is all right. Now, in other tours, you've won $1 million. That's other tours. In the FLW, in the MLF. Now, get this. In BASS, you've won $2,771,463. Now, get this part. This is the cool part. You've caught 8,094 pounds of bass in BASS tournaments. Now, Andrew Ellenberger, the Ginger Ninja, our producer, he probed Ronnie Moore before this show.
Yeah.
For some very exclusive information. And you know how it's hard to get info out of Ronnie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Ronnie is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to info.
He is.
First guy.
You know how you talk out loud and break things down? Ronnie's does computer robot sounds out loud and goes and then gives facts. That's what he does. So, Ginge, what do you got for us as far as Mr. Hackney's?
So I got two stats for you, Greg.
Okay.
So for per pound of bass that you've caught, it equals out to $342.40 per pound of bass.
Yikes. Each bass you catch, 342 pounds. Or $342 a pound, Greg.
Yeah. And with that many derbs, that's a high on our...
Yeah, on our scale. That's what I'm saying.
Scale, that's up there. And then per derb, out of the 218 derbs, you are averaging $12,713 per derby.
Yeah, give it up for Greg Hackney. He's a beast. He's a beast.
That sounds really good.
Somebody once said Godzilla ain't got nothing on you, and apparently with those stats, he doesn't, you know?
How about that? $12,000 a tournament. That's wow.
That's a derber, bud.
Yes, it is. That's
A 4-pounder's $1,400.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on.
crazy.
Come on, Lake Murray.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to get to know you a little bit before we get into some more Bassin stuff. And when I mean get to know you, I want to get to know young Greg Hackney. You know, little Greg, young Greg. All right, and I'm talking. Let's bring it through a few phases of your life, and I kind of want to know about your Bassin life and where you're at in your personal life at this point in your life. Now, the first time I want to talk to you about, Greg, I want you to describe little Greg Hackney. You know, the time, let's say up till you were 10 years old.
Wow. I mean, I probably was barefoot from the time I was born till I was 10 years old.
I mean, and when you say that, I mean, just that's inside, outside, you just running around.
That's me just running around. I spent a lot of time. You know, I definitely grew up in rural America, and I'll be honest with you, I'm probably a hair more refined, not a lot, but a little more than I was then, and a little rough around the edges. And yeah, I'll be honest with you, I know I was probably barefoot, honestly, until I was 12 years old, most of the time.
I love that. You're just a wild man in nature, a wild boy.
Remember this, when it was time for me to go back to school after summer, it was hard for my mother to find I remember her saying this. It was hard for her to find shoes for me that would fit, because let me tell you this, after you go barefoot for an extended period of time, your foot has a tendency to get wider. So I wouldn't say it was a long foot, but it was a very wide one. And I remember her saying, like, it's kind of like, you know how in China they would put little shoes on people. They would have to shrink my foot back to get me to, to fit before the year was over.
So young Greg Hackney was a wide foot.
Yeah, I was a wide foot. Man, I could run on we had a gravel road led from my house to my grandparents' house. And I spent enough time barefoot that I didn't have any trouble running on those hot rocks in the summertime. And it got hot in part of the country I grew up in. But I fished all summer and stayed barefoot. That's about it.
So what was your Bassin like then, as a little boy like that?
I've probably been bass fishing since before I can remember. I fished a lot growing up. This is what's crazy. I probably fish more growing up than I do now.
What?
Figured out the days that I actually fished, because like in the summer I fish every day. Like, so I fish with my daddy on the weekends, but like I fished in a pond. We had probably an 1.5 acre pond. It was literally like 100 yards from our front door. I pretty much named every fish in there multiple times.
And you're out there with lures, or you're out bait dunking? What are you doing at this point in your life?
Some of both. So I'll tell you another thing. Like, so we did a lot of trot lining when I was growing up, especially in the spring of the year.
Okay.
And full of green sunfish. And that wasn't the name that they were called when I was growing up. But anyway, they're actually green sunfish. Is what and it was full of them. And my daddy had built a big wire basket, and I would fish all week and fill that basket full of those green sunfish. And we'd go to the Arkansas River or Bayou Bartholomew, which was like literally not very far, which is the longest bayou in the United States. And it starts like somewhere up around Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and it goes all the way down and dumps in the Ouachita River. So it was literally like 2 miles from our house. And I grew up frog gigging on it, and it's full of bass too, but we trot lined on it a lot. So I would spend all week catching those green sunfish, and then we would bait trot lines on the weekend and do that,
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're all wide footing and just you're trot lining.
Buddy, barefoot, trot lining catfish. Frog, yeah. I mean, I just grew up doing all that stuff. And here's the deal. When you grow up in rural America like that, at that time, there were no cell phones or anything else. There wasn't any. I mean, we still had, I remember my grandparents had a dial phone.
Yeah.
You know, where
heck
you
yeah.
turn it out, and then you go into the next number. Hey, man, we're on the party line.
Yeah, remember the party line? That was some action.
I remember when we didn't even have a private phone line. We were on a party line. My mother, this lady that lived below her, I'm not going to call her name, but anyway, she liked to get on the phone and listen to everybody's conversations when they were talking to other people.
Oh, I thought you meant those ads that play late at night for the party line.
Oh, no.
Oh.
I'm talking party line where there were multiple people on the same phone line.
Oh, you had to climb to the top of a pole like in Green Acres.
Yeah, I guess. But, yeah, party line where there were more people when I was a kid. I remember that. And,
that's awesome.
Yeah, man. I mean,
like
channels on our TV. So I didn't have cable television until Julie and I got married. And as a birthday present, she got us cable when we first got married. I never had cable TV, man. I grew up with 3 channels, but we had Bill Dance. Bill Dance, Roland Martin, and Virgil Ward on the weekend were all on the 3 or 4 channels that we had.
And that's what I'm talking about. That's all you need, and then go fishing.
Yeah, and then go fishing.
Yeah,
I mean, and the funny thing about fishing shows, dude, I'd get pumped up. I'm like ready to go. I'd wear my daddy out after I wore. Bill Dance is slaying them. Roland Martin's in Florida, 10 pounders. I'm like, let's go back.
You're all jacked up.
Ready to go.
There's the song. Yes. Just the song makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I want to know about high school Greg Hackney. Were you a troublemaker?
Yeah, I did get in some trouble.
Like, well, what's trouble?
That's all kinds. I mean, you know, I was a little bit on the mischievous side. And so, occasionally I got in a little trouble. You know, I grew up in the time where they still paddled at school.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yikes.
And I'll be honest,
yeah, I got those too. Yeah.
On occasion, I got paddled.
Yeah.
Like when I tell my children that now, I'm like, yeah, they paddled. What? I'm like, yeah. Yeah.
Dude, I got paddled by nuns.
I can't remember if it was Dave Chappelle or whatever. It's like, yeah, you got time out. I got time. I can whoop your ass. Got in that time out. You know what I mean? Like on occasion, I did get in a little trouble, but you know, I was rambunctious, a little over outgoing, maybe just a hair.
Okay, a little over outgoing. So that's that's outside as well as on the water. So that's on the streets and in the water, or on the water.
Yeah, probably being on the water is what kept me out of trouble.
Yes, me too. Yes.
Because I grew up in part of the country, hunting and fishing has kept me out of a lot of trouble. I'm not going to tell you without hunting and fishing that you and I probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
100%. And here's what I always say. It's this way, Greg. It's like I've been in a lot of trouble in my life, but fishing has kept me out of trouble that I couldn't get out of. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Makes a ton of sense.
So, I thank God for that, man. I thank God for that. Hey, what age did you settle down?
43, 44.
I mean, did you get a little calmer? You said high school, Greg, was wild. You were a little edgy. I would
probably say, honestly, Julie has probably settled me down the most. That was probably, we got married. I was 26, I think. That's about the time I started fishing. I mean, not like that's about the time, like, so the year we got married in 1998 or 99. I can't remember now. That's terrible.
You're in trouble.
Just
remind her how much each bass is worth and how much you make a tournament. Just remind her that. Yeah.
But anyway, that's about the time I started fishing, deciding that I was going to, try to be a professional angler.
Okay.
But yeah, I
What year
definitely.
is what? So, and that was the year you guys got married, like 99 or 98 is when you made the commitment to you, Greg Hackney.
Yeah,
To
I
fish.
really settled down, and a year later, Drew was born, and that really, because I'll be honest with you, like when you have a child, that really grows you up, or it should.
Yes, it
Every
did me. Save my ass, bud. Tell you
Yeah,
that.
it was like now you have a responsibility. You know what I mean? Like you're not only responsible for yourself anymore, you're responsible for another human being, and that really. So that was Drew was born in 2000. So that means Julie and I got married in 99.
99.
That's right.
Okay.
So we got married in 99 because Drew was born in 2000. That's right. Because we've been married 24 years and he'll be 23 years old his birthday, September 6th. So, yeah. So that's right. So we got married. We were married 24 years this year, May the 8th.
Nice. That's quite an accomplishment, bud.
Yeah.
In this day and age. Well, congratulations. Yeah. Thank God you weren't like high school Greg Hackney still, or you guys, who knows what would have happened.
Even like early 20-year-old Greg Hackney, we wouldn't have made it. We actually knew each other. That's a fun story because Julie and I actually knew each other way before we started dating.
Nice. You were buds before that or what?
Yeah, we had mutual friends. That's how I got to know Julie. But we didn't date till later on. But she knew me during a period of time when I was still I was wearing shoes.
So you weren't wide foot and trot line in Greg Hackney.
Yeah, wasn't that Greg Hackney? But I might have been a hair like I wore my hair probably about the length of years then, Pat. You know what I mean? Like I was.
Send me pictures. Send me pictures, please. Where's the I'm getting hold of Julie and I'm asking her. I gotta have that.
Yeah, well, I'll get you a picture, but it used to be like, what was it? Business in the front, party in the back, if you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean. They call that the Louisiana rain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly what it was. And I was bringing the rain.
Hey, bud. Well, cool. I got to know a little bit about a young Greg Hackney. I like that. We're talking about responsibility, Greg. And whether you know it or not, you have a huge responsibility to bass fishing fans, and to the sport of bass fishing, as well as yourself. And you are a shining example of a proper Bassin man. And it's important to have proper Bassin men in the sport who stick with the fundamentals and the foundations that make this sport correct. Okay? Now before I go any further, I'd like to ask you what your definition of a proper Bassin man is.
Well, so my opinion of the proper Bassin man is that basically just go back to somebody who truly loves to fish. And the end game is the fishing part of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
like, again, we're living in changing times in that the way everything is evolving and whatever, but put all of it aside. If you will go fishing every day, not for money, not for fame, just because you truly love to go bass fishing, that's my definition of a proper Bassin man.
You love the fish. You love you love it.
Because still, like day in and day out, I can only go so long without going fishing. I've had friends of mine before that only fished the tournament fish, and no guys who got into it because of that. And I love the competition, don't get me wrong. But when I don't compete professionally anymore, I will still go bass fishing. I still love the thrill of the blow up. And I'll be honest with you, like now, because I do have a lot of other responsibilities and things that I could be doing. Sometimes it works out for me that I do fish for a living. That helps me get to go fishing,
I'm sorry that I'm laughing right now, but Zona just sent me a picture of some little boy in a clown. I don't know if it's you or not.
Oh gosh, he's a clown. Yeah, I was on. So that's my original claim to fame. Is my first. I was on the Bozo show.
Wait a second, this is real?
Yes, for real.
I got to blow this up. Holy cow, that is you with Bozo the Clown. WTF is this? Thank you, Mark Zona. I love you more now. Ginge, I'm sending this to you immediately.
The funny thing about him is sending that picture, he's afraid of clowns.
I know he hates them so much, but we're all clowns. That's the funny part. Unreal. Dude, you were on the boat. That floored me. That's Greg Hackney, Andy. With Bozo the dang clown. You know that scares Zona just to look at that picture.
He's like, he asked me questions like, did he ever touch you?
Show me where Bozo. Never mind. Hey, but I want to tell you something. Speaking of our bud here. All right. Now, he texted me yesterday. We had quite a nice text yesterday, and I sounded like my grandma there. We had a nice text, even though she never texted. But he said, I think it's fair to say, oh, you have the best guest ever. The best guest possible tonight. He thought the show was last night, but that's it. You didn't even know today was Wednesday till I told you it was, Hackney. But he said, I think it's fair to say he got out of jail on his own. And he's so happy where he's at. Dude's a effing legend. Facts.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Your bud thinks you're a legend. What do you think about that? He loves this sport, bud. He's a proper Bassin man. He's an example of it.
He is. He's eat up with it. You know what? He's a junkie.
Yeah,
he up with the sport of bass fishing.
He'd be screwed without it.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. He's one of those guys that can go fishing every day. Every day.
If he could, he would.
He almost does.
Let him kid you.
He may on. There may be a chance, Pat, that he fishes more than you do.
No. You think?
It is not possible.
Bass fishing talk show hosts are supposed to fish every day. That's what it says in the guide.
So I've been waiting to get a video from you since
Murray.
When did we Murray?
I'm a lazy POS, first off.
You've been fishing every day since you and I fished at Murray. That's been 3 months ago.
Pretty much, dude. It just went. I went on a bender, and then I found a little spot in a chute off the river I had to push my boat into with virgin bass, and that kept me there for weeks, just being a complete crackhead, smashing on them. You know what I mean? I couldn't stop. But I do have to tell you, I have the most amazing videos of you, and I will send them, and you'll be like, damn, I'm cool when you look at those. That's what you're going to say. No, you're cool. You're going to be like, damn. Me, Greg Hackney, I'm cool.
Been busy fishing.
You're just smashing them. I got hook sets. I got you just being a badass. Just saying stuff.
Did you have a video of me in that spinning pole?
I do. Oh, you better believe I do. It's special, too. Hey, I want to finish talking to you about some commonalities of the proper Bassin men while we're on this deal still. So, they're not necessarily rules in proper Bassin or the laws, but you find commonalities amongst proper Bassin men, and please feel free to interject or join in on any of these. But one of the first things that we often find is that proper Bassin men keep good company. It's the company you keep. So who you hang with is a reflection of you. We find that often. Do you see that in proper Bassin?
100%.
Yeah, it's always prevalent. Another thing we see in proper Bassin men, Greg, is that they keep family first. They keep family first. We see that as a commonality in proper Bassin men. Do you see that as well?
Oh, I do, but sometimes they may have a tendency to fish a little too much.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, it's another thing or another commonality of proper bassin men that they know that they are here for one reason, and that's because, like we talked about before, because of a fish. They're not here because of themselves. They're not at this passion for bassin for themselves. They're there for the fish. That's what it is. That's a commonality of the proper bassin man. You see that, right? You see that one.
Well, another reason that they hang out together, because
Yeah.
they can't talk to anyone else. They can't have conversations with anyone else. No one else would understand them.
I love that.
Think about that.
I love it.
I mean, like, our group is a group of special individuals that can really only hang out with one another. They don't have a choice. They can go to parties with other people, but they won't speak because they won't have anything in common with anybody else there. So they just stand around and drink. It's a deal where that they have to be careful going to parties where there are not other proper bassin men, because they'll be drunk. They'll get banned from parties where there's no one else they have in common with because they might get drunk. I may know a guy that has been banned from certain parties for that reason. And the deal was they thought it was because he just was getting drunk every time. But the deal was he didn't have anything in common with anybody else.
Nobody to talk to.
Nobody to talk to. So he just sat over in the corner.
Got all sauced up.
Just got sauced up and ate up all the dip.
That's a proper bassin man.
The proper bassin man, when you put him in an environment that he's not used to being in.
I see what you're saying.
I mean, it happens. I'm not going to say I know the guy personally, but it happens.
It sure does. A proper bassin man can turn into hurricanes like that in the wrong situation. The weather turns, you know what I mean? Hey, here's another commonality of a proper bassin man. They adhere to the golden rule on and off the water. Do you see that in proper bassin men?
100%.
Yeah. You treat others as you want to be treated yourself, right, Greg Hackney?
That's it. Lots of respect.
Yeah. You respect the other propers 100%, as well as everyone. I guess, you have to have I mean, is tolerance a thing too? Is tolerance and respect a thing? Is that, what's the difference? So do we have to tolerate non-propers?
Oh, that's totally different, respecting someone and tolerating
Well,
them.
I know it's different. But so do we have to tolerate? We don't respect non-propers. Do we tolerate them?
Certain point. And then the proper bassin man probably has a breaking point where we go over and when he reaches that point, it's not good.
It's not good. And that's where this one comes in. That most proper bassin men believe in a power greater than themselves. They believe that something else has brought them to this point.
I can't speak for everyone on that, but I'm with you 110% on that.
Well, it's a commonality we find between propers, amongst propers. 100%. 100%. Yeah. Hey, now, here's the tough one.
So I'll tell you another thing
Go
that's
ahead.
simple. Same group of people, we love to see the sun come up.
That's true, isn't it?
That 100%.
And the sounds at that time of the day.
See the world wake up every morning.
Yeah.
Now, that is the one thing about what we do that I know I'm completely blessed in, that in my life, how many days I've got to watch the world wake up. You can't beat that.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, dude, if you think about it. That's the blessing, but that's the blessing. Hey, well, I'm you do have a responsibility. You better hold up to it as a proper bassin man. We need you to do that, Greg. We look up to you for that.
Well, I just think that those guys are held in a higher regard. They should be held accountable.
Yeah, I mean, accountability, 100%, everything. And you said before you came in to this sport with your heroes. Those are the proppers that set the
They
course.
set- So I will be honest with you about that. Though, as far as that part goes, I came in at the right time. All those guys are my heroes. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
how awesome is that? Now, I have been blessed in my career just to even think about that, because I'm reading all those Bassmaster magazines, watching Bassmaster on TNN, and seeing those guys, and then having that opportunity. The majority of all of them were still fishing when I started. So I got to fish against all of them and with them and be around them before they retired. So that's, I mean, dang, you can't beat that.
Nah, I mean, it's amazing. It actually.
And these were, think about this, these were all the pioneers of the sport.
Yeah.
I
The
mean,
greats of greats.
the sport that's only been around for 50 years. I mean, think about it. It's still, professional bass fishing is such a young sport as sports go. I never really thought about it like that. I'll be honest with you. Steve Bowman's the one who, told me like how long, I can't remember the years now, how long golf had been around, baseball, and then to think about how young the sport of bass fishing is.
Yeah, it really is. It's an embryo.
And I got to come into the sport with the pioneers of the sport. I mean, Ray Scott was still the commentator. You know what I mean? Like the godfather who started professional bass fishing was still there when I started. So I have been very, very blessed in that, just fishing against all my heroes. I was there not at the beginning, but early on, Do
you think Ray Scott would be proud of you right now, Greg Hackney?
Oh, I don't know about that. Ray was around so many greats. You know what I mean? Like,
well, what do you think? Be honest. Keep it honest, like you say.
I think he would respect me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
I do know. I think he would.
I think, I'll be honest with you. One of the thing that I've wanted most out of my peers, so everybody has different goals, but one of my goals in doing this was to have the respect of my peers. They don't have to like me, just to respect me, if that makes sense.
Yes.
I don't know much. Like, that was always a big deal, because I think some of that was stemmed from that I did come into the sport with who's who of bass fishing.
Yeah. And establish yourself.
All those guys. So to have their respect, and the guys I fish against now, that's all I ask for. I don't expect for them to like me. We're competitors. They're all out for blood when the event's going on, but off the water, we can all be friends, So I think that's another thing of the proper Bassin man.
Yeah.
That we're all like that. I can have conversations with every one of my competitors, just not on the water.
That's right. Hey, out of those competitors in the Elite Series. Now, this is a tough question, man. But it's a real question. How, as a percentage wise, how many people on the Elite Series do you think are not proper Bassin men, or are there not propers on the Elite Series?
So here's the deal. I feel like there's a handful of them up just still growing to that point. But I'll be honest with you, all in all, this group is very impressive.
Okay. I'll take that.
They're all very respectful. I don't know. I don't know. It seems like each event you're in a different flight, you're with different guys, and so you're around a lot of these guys. But man, all in all, this is a strong group. So here's the deal. This group, as of right now, is growing into who's who of bass fishing. Now, they're there, but they're on the road there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
These are all the superstars. You know what I mean? Some of them are superstars right now, and they don't know it yet. I know they are, but they don't know it. But they're headed down that everything in the sport of bass fishing, as far as I'm concerned, will be graded on the group of anglers that I'm competing against right now in the Elite Series.
Wow.
Like, they got some big shoes to fill.
Yeah, that's a huge statement you just made.
It's a statement, but it is what it is. Like, if that makes sense, everything will be. Let me see what I'm looking for, but like, that's where the bar is set. If that makes sense, like they're setting, or they don't know this. A lot of them don't because they're young. They're great anglers. They don't know it yet, but I think that's another thing that I really can appreciate and respect about this bunch is that they don't really know how good they are. You know,
it's. I guess it was that way for you too. It has to sink in eventually, and that.
Yeah, I look at. I mean, dude, they're impressive now. I look at. So here's the deal. At the end of the day, I look at what they catch. You know how they act. That's all part of it. That's the other thing about them. They're all like really even keeled, and there's no, I don't know. It's just really impressive.
Well, I'm glad you are the upperclassman. I mean, you are the forefather of the bunch. You're like, there's different tiers of elites. There's the always rookies, then there's youngsters, and then there's legends of the sport, and then there's extreme legends of the sport. And you're in that legend area.
I'm just
right now.
hoping that I don't embarrass them sometime.
Hey, we got to talk a little bit about some technique and some Bassin prowess here. Are the Bass Galaxy's going to be angry with us? So I want to do a little rapid fire with you. Gingy, you got any rapid fire type music for us? So what we're gonna do is it's like I'm gonna name a combo, all right, for a technique, or I'm gonna name a technique, and you tell us the combo that would be appropriate, and just bust them out because I got a bunch of them here. You ready?
Okay.
All right. So the rod and reel that's appropriate for this technique, you can throw line in there too.
Okay.
All right. First one, popper, traditional popper. Top water.
My 610 spinnerbait buzzbait rod, BB1 Pro, 8.3 to 1, 20-pound mono.
Okay. And when you throw a buzzbait on that, do you change the line?
A lot of times on that, I throw braid.
And 20-pound mono on the popper.
Yeah, I do. It floats. And a lot of times those fish on a popper, so here's the deal. When they eat it, it doesn't matter. But a lot of times on a popper, they just like to ease up there and they get one hook. And I just feel like you don't pull the hook as much with mono.
Okay. And the 20 pounds, that's kind of heavy, isn't it? Or, I mean, not obviously I don't know.
So I use copolymer, 20 pounds. It's a pretty fine diameter line. But here's my deal. I always try to get by with the biggest line possible.
Sure.
I can cast the bait accurate, and the bait moves like it's supposed to. Why would I downsize my line?
Okay, that's what I'm asking. You don't see a lot of people throwing 20 on poppers.
Really?
No, I don't. Guess what I'm throwing now? 20.
If I'm throwing a 70, I throw it on 25.
Really?
Why not?
Okay. I
don't
got
know
you.
any better.
Okay.
I don't know any better.
Square bill combo, go. What is it?
7-foot cranking special, BB1 Pro. It depends. Like, it can be a 6.2 to 1 or a 7.5. It kind of depends on the situation. Again, we're target fishing. It's like the popper. 14 to 20 pound fluoro gamma edge. It just depends on the, it depends on the situation, on that deal.
Bladed jig. Bladed jig rod.
Say it again.
Bladed jig rod.
Bladed jig rod. Man, I like a spinnerbait rod for that. You know what I mean? Because I don't use a glass rod for that deal. I like a medium heavy with a lot of parabolic action. again, 14 to 20 pound fluorocarbon. I got another little deal I'm going to throw out there at you.
Okay.
Sometimes really shallow and hard to stick, rather than going to glass rod, I use 20 pound copolymer.
Whoa, okay.
In every one of them.
Gotcha.
The whole deal with, so here's the deal. I've caught so many fish on monofilament because I grew up in the time before fluorocarbon.
Sure.
Before.
Yeah.
So
me
here's
too.
the deal. It is not as sensitive. You don't react as quick. By the time they get a bait with monofilament, they've eaten the bait. They got it choked. You don't react.
Gotcha. And
So-
you're copolymering.
Yeah, it's actually because Gamma doesn't make monofilament, they make copolymer,
Yes.
which is real similar, other than it's a smaller diameter.
And it's got
Like,
the
so-
stretch.
Est is like 20 pound fluoro, if that makes sense. It's a small diameter line,
Gotcha.
but it does have some stretch in it, and it is dead in that it doesn't feel the same. It's not as sensitive as fluorocarbon. And like anytime I mean, I use it a lot short casting the spinner bait to keep from pulling it away from them. My reaction speed is so, like, I don't know how everybody else's is, but mine is like, it's still, even as I've gotten older, a lot of times it's too fast.
You got a hair trigger.
I got a hair trigger. So I'll do things like that to slow me down. So if so anybody out there that has a hair trigger, if you're having problems, you can, I know it sounds crazy for people to use monofilament, but if you'll switch to monofilament, you'll catch a lot of those bites when you're reacting too quick.
Okay, interesting. Hey, I know you're not scared to throw a swim bait around. I seen you doing a little bit of that. I know you like that, the soft body swim baits.
I do. I'll be honest with you, I never fish an event I don't have a swim bait of some type tied on. Typically 7.4, 7.6, depending on the situation. And I like I use a lot of 20 pound fluoro. I have a lot of confidence in it. I don't lose a lot of fish. You know what I mean? Like I like to swing my fish. I don't like to land them.
I like that about you too. And we all do.
My deal is, in my business, the quicker you get that fish in the boat, especially at 300, what was it? $352 a pound.
Yeah.
I got to get them in there quick.
I like it. Last one, flipping grass flipping combo.
7.6 or 7.11, Greg Hackney signature series, either pitching rod or flipping rod, 50 pound braid.
50 pound braid, your go-to.
100%.
Straight braid.
50, straight braid.
Straight braid.
Straight braid. I don't care how clear the water is. The clearer, the better.
I like it. A lot of people, and myself, I've referred to you as a shallow water expert, but you're no stranger to deep water either. I mean, you catch them deep, especially in deep grass. People are afraid of deep grass, aren't they, Greg?
It's something I grew up doing. I really have a lot of confidence in it. I like grass in general. I don't care if it's growing in 6 inches of water or 25 feet of water. It just holds big concentrations of fish. You typically can get by with power fishing in it. I like to flip grass.
Yeah. What's your favorite strain?
Man, I'd have to say hydrilla is my favorite strain. And really the biggest reason for that, it grows the deepest.
Gotcha.
And it's really user friendly. I don't care if you're cranking, whatever you're doing with it. You know what I mean?
It's a harder weed, yeah.
It's harder. It grows up, makes a great canopy. Lots of fish live in it. I would say it's my favorite. Probably milfoil would be number 2, would be second.
If you're fishing a strange lake and you see hydrilla, you get more excited about hydrilla than milfoil?
I'll be honest with you. I don't get the opportunity much to fish, lakes anymore that have hydrilla. There's only a handful of lakes in the country that have it, but I do get excited. So I'll be honest with you. If we go to a lake with hydrilla and I don't have a really good performance, I'm going to be really, really disappointed because it goes back to being an opportunist.
Yeah.
And we don't get many opportunities at that. And it's a problem. I'll be honest with you. I'll fight a demon when we go to Champlain for our next to the last event of the year, because it has a lot of grass in it. It has a lot of different flavors of grass, but it has a lot of milfoil and has a lot of coontail. And in my mind, smallmouth will win that event. Man, in practice, I will have to spend some time flipping grass there, because
Keeping it honest.
You got to keep it honest. And it's such a great lake to flip grass on. And we just don't get that many opportunities to do it. I thought about it. It's so funny. I thought about that today. I'm like, man, I'm going to have to spend a couple hours every day of practice flipping grass, just because, man, it's so good. Yet I know I think, I feel like the deal is, I'm pretty sure a couple years, it's actually was the Bassmaster that Aaron won. And I was in one of the rivers that come into the lake, and I caught a smallmouth, and when I swung it during the event, I'm pretty sure it spit up gobies then.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, and this has been several years ago. I said something to Gene Gillum, our biologist for bass,
sure,
about it. He's like, man, I don't know, I haven't heard that or whatever, but I want to think they were in there then, because here's the deal. Those rivers all lead to the St. Lawrence.
Yes.
And those gobies just swim up the river, but I'm pretty, I haven't heard anybody say since, but I'm sure they're in there. And the smallmouth, if you look at the weights at Champlain the last few years, the smallmouth are getting bigger.
Yeah, they're getting tankier.
They're getting tankier. That's right. Mm-hmm. And so that would only make sense that every lake in the country that's got gobies, the smallmouth are putting on, they average a pound heavier than they did whenever they were eating whatever else. So whether it's Al Gore and global warming or goby, something is making the smallmouth bigger. And with us being there that late in the year, I mean, it'll be hard to beat the smallmouth, but it's going to be hard for me not to spend a couple hours every day diving in that grass.
Well, that's what practice is for.
You know what I mean? And Champlain's also one of those lakes when you're flipping grass that you literally can get in the place the size of your boat and take 50 shots. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Now, they may be 3-pounders and all look exactly the same, but golly, I love to swing that hammer.
I feel that, man. What's deep grass to you? What is deep grass? Define the depths.
Really like 15 to 20 plus, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, be deep grass, and I think that's the other deal about a lot of those hydrilla lakes, it grows that deep. I won my first Bassmaster at Lake Ouachita in Arkansas, and the outside edge of the grass was like 23 or 24. Wow. And that's where my fish came from. That's deep. Of course, it's a really clear water. Basically there, the grass grew to the abyss, because after that point, the water fell into 100 foot of water. It's a highland reservoir. So It's extremely deep, and it grew deep there. But I flipped grass on Toledo, and it was in 17 to 20. When Chapman won the Bassmaster, I finished 4th there. I was the only guy flipping grass, and I finished 4th, and it was 17 to 20. When I won at Cayuga, most of my fish came like 17 to 19. But there, the milfoil grew to like 12, but there was cabbage growing out in that 17 to 19. And that's where the groups of my fish came from. There were singles up in the milfoil, and you could catch them scattered, but the groups of fish were like on rock outcroppings and clumps of cabbage that were growing like 17 to 19.
I love that. So as far as locating fish in deep grass, what's a commonality that you could tell the viewing audience to help them locate fish? A commonality between natural lakes, impoundments, and rivers, and something that just always stands true to locating deep water fish.
It's typically some type of irregular feature.
Okay.
Whether it's a high spot in the grass, or it can be a drain, a ditch. Because a lot of times what happens in grass lakes, the grass will grow. Let's just say the grass is to the top. Well, it'll grow across a drain that's 2 feet deeper, but the grass is still exactly the same height, if that makes sense. but all the fish are in that ditch. The bottom changes, but the top of the grass does not.
I see.
On hydro lakes, a lot of times what you have, the fish seem to stay with the new grass. So at the beginning of the year, the grass is growing in a certain point, but as the lake drops, as the year goes along, you know, as summer comes around, a lot of reservoirs that have hydrilla, the grass continues to grow out, and it seems like those fish will want to stay in the new growth. So you'll have grass matted in 10, but you got grass growing in 20, and the 20 is where the fish, you know, they just stay with the grass line, if that makes sense. They just keep going out with it.
As the new growth, and probably the beta's following that new growth as well.
You know, I caught them at Oneida flipping grass, and the whole deal was there's grass was at that in that particular term, there was grass all over the entire lake, but it was rock that was in the grass. Anywhere that you could find rock that, you know, where the milfoil had grown over it or around it was the deal. So it always seemed, and they were out in it. They weren't on the outside edge. They were up in the grass, you know. I've been on situations where it was clumps of cabbage. It was a solid milfoil bed, and there were isolated clumps of cabbage. Coontail grows the same way. I fished it was a Hall of Fame tournament at Ouachita, and I ended up making it. The championship was on Hamilton or whatever, but I caught my fish I caught enough fish the first day to make the championship round. And the deal was the hydrilla quit at 20, and there were patches of coontail growing in 25. You know, something different. Yeah. It's always something different. The bottom's harder, rock.
Irregularities will find fish consistently.
That's the deal. It's something different about it, a drain, a high spot. And it can be a huge grass bed, and there's one place where it's higher. And a lot of times what you'll find in that grass, the grass doesn't look any different. The grass grows even across. It's all grown to the surface, let's say, or it's all grown up at the same rate of speed because of the sunlight. And here's a place where it's 2 foot deeper or 2 foot shallower, and it all looks the same. So then it's all about your electronics. I mean, the only way to find those irregular places is with your electronics. And here's the deal now with the front facing sonar, my active target. I mean, I can stay on grass out there that you can't see. I used to do that with a flasher. So I grew up fishing grass with a flasher. A flasher was the best thing ever for fishing grass. It will tell you where that edge is without
Fritz
getting on.
Loves it. Fritz still uses it. You know what I'm saying? That's
and well, I'll tell you one of the reasons he does that. Early on, 2D sonar was not what it is now.
Gotcha.
You know, now the sonar is so I can tweak my sonar to do the exact same thing, the flasher. But early on, like I had that same issue. I couldn't fish grass with the 2D sonar. I couldn't see it. The thing will black out. You couldn't read through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Lock the scene up. You couldn't. Now I can tune it in a way that, you know, you can read through the grass, because now the deal is it's about what's underneath it. It's not about the grass. It's about the underwater features that are in the grass.
Yeah,
right.
I like it. Hey, do you determine yourself whether you're going to fish a jig or a Texas rig in deep grass, or do the bass determine that? Who determines it, the bass or Greg Hackney?
It kind of depends on the situation, you know, like what they're eating. So here's the deal. If they're eating bluegill, a jig's going to be my number one choice. And if they're eating crawfish, a rodent will be my number one choice.
Okay. So
depends on what the fish are eating.
Bluegill's a jig, and the rodent is for crawfish.
I mean, looks like a crawfish. It's the best profile of a crawfish. And depending on the size of the crawfish, whether I use a baby rodent or a full-size rodent, flipping grass.
How does the rate of fall change with a jig compared to a Texas rig? Like, so say you're throwing a rodent on a 1 ounce Texas rig.
I would hardly ever throw a rodent on a 1 ounce Texas rig.
Okay, what's the deal?
A half ounce weight on a rodent falls at about the same rate of speed as a 1 ounce jig.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you don't have to. I would seldom ever flip. Now, I'm not talking about punching mats. I'm talking about flipping grass. It's not like you're having to punch through anything. I would seldom ever use bigger than a 3/4 ounce weight on braid with a piece of plastic, because the rate of fall is so fast.
Interesting. Okay, so with that, when they're on that crawdad bite and you're throwing it with that in the deep grass, it's a half or a 3/4 on the rodent.
Yeah, at the most. I mean, like even if we were fishing out there, like I said, in like low 20s, I would seldom ever throw heavier than a 3/4. I just wouldn't. You're not going through anything.
I get that. What about the jig? What's your most common jig size?
I would say, it depends on the depth. Let's just say if we're in that 5 to 10 foot range, flipping grass, 3/4, and anything deeper than that, 1 ounce. And then if we got on out there on those extremes, 1.25 ounces. And here's the other deal with the jig: to change the rate of fall, you change the trailer. So 90% of the time, I throw a rage crawl, which has a ton of drag.
Yes,
really slows down your rate of fall. If I want that jig to fall faster, then I would switch to a rodent or a plastic chunk, a KVD chunk, to speed up the rate of fall out of that jig. I'm just a big fan of a rage crawl because I feel like I get more jig bites with it than any other trailer.
Yeah, I mean,
and here's the deal: I swim a jig with a rage crawl. Okay,
you love that thing.
And and when I'm swimming a jig, what am I trying to resemble? Unless I'm throwing a white jig, any other color, we want it to look like a bluegill.
You're on that bluegill.
Rage crawl on the back of a jig. If I'm dragging a structured jig, if I'm flipping a hack attack flipping jig, if I'm swimming a swim jig, a bluegill is what we're representing most of the time, unless I got a white trailer and a white jig. So I just feel like if I want that jig to look like a bluegill, I want that rage crawl on the back of it. I just feel like I get more bites. I'll tell you another thing it does that I feel like I get bites coming up. So I'll pick a lot of times, like when I'm flipping grass, I'll flip that jig out there and I got it on completely slack line, let it fall slack, hits the bottom, you hop it or whatever. But then what I start doing is pumping my rod and taking up the slack. So basically, I pitch it out there, it swims all the way to the bottom, then I swim it all the way back. And a lot of times when fish aren't active, or maybe they didn't see it on the way down, you'll get a cold trailer, you'll get one coming up on the way back. And I feel like that rage crawl, I generate a few extra bites, either going in or coming out because of that. So,
gotcha. I like that. Thanks, man. That's some deep water grass knowledge.
Well, that's shallow water grass, deep water grass. It's all the same. It's all,
Hey, I want to get. I got some serious matters to take care of with you, and I'm gonna start asking a couple serious questions. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
All right. It's called The Whole Truth and Nothing But the Truth. Are you willing to adhere to that?
Well, maybe I'm better at truth or dare.
Yeah, that sounds like you. All right. Describe the Bassmaster Opens to me, Greg Hackney. Describe the Bassmaster Opens at this present state, the EQs.
Oh, wow. It's a terrifying place to be. So it is the most dog world. It's the hardest. I'll be honest with you, it's the toughest tournament trail there is out there.
Wow. Okay. After you were just talking so much about the elites, now you're.
But here's the deal: those guys at the elites are not trying to get anywhere else.
Yes.
There is no level past the elites, if that makes sense. They're all just trying to make the classic. They're trying to make a living, and that's all, and that's very important. And they're settled, if that makes sense.
It does.
You know what? They've reached the pinnacle of the sport, so they're settled in that. And there's a job to do, and they do a damn good job at doing it.
Well, with all that being said, look at this. Should they have the same rules as you guys then? If it's that competitive and that wild?
That's probably the only thing about the Opens that I wish would change. That if I had my way, they do have stricter rules than previous Opens. But I feel like because the majority of those guys, what is it? Is it the EQ fit. What do they call it?
EQ qualifiers? I don't know.
Yeah. Qualifiers.
Yeah.
I told them I needed one of those stickers for my truck. They wouldn't give me one. I was like, well, I'm an EQ qualifier.
Damn straight you are.
But so the deal is, because here's the thing that, and they did do some things that I brought up, but these guys, the majority of them, 95% of the guys fishing the elites want one thing. They want to make it to fishing the opens. They want to make it to the elites. That's what their goal. That's the end goal in the deal. Yeah, they want to make the class. You got some guys still jackpotting 3 turn. You can still fish each division. There's still 3 divisions. You can fish those 3 tournaments. You can't make the elites, but you can still qualify for the classic. So there's still a handful of guys doing that, but the majority of the field is trying to make the elite series. So my deal is, I'm like, I think they would be better prepared if they were fishing under the exact same rules that we are. Now, I'm good with them getting 5 days of practice. I get that. You know what I mean? They do have an off limits period, but they're getting 5 days of practice. I don't have a problem with that, but I'm like, they should be a little more in to the exact rules we are. Yeah. So the way our rules are, once the event is announced, I'm not allowed. I can't. So the event's fixing to be at your house. I can't call Pat and say, hey, Pat, what do you think? We're going there next year, whatever. It's off limits. I can go there and pre-fish, but I can't talk to anyone. Can't get any waypoints. Can't get any information about the event once it's been announced. That is one of the things that is still different on the opens, because my problem with it is, that's great if a guy makes it in that way, but he's going to struggle when he gets up there with us, because he doesn't, if he's dependent on that, getting information.
Yeah, now he's screwed.
He will be cut off from that once he gets there. So my deal is, I'm like, you might as well go ahead and prepare them for exactly what they will.
Great point.
Right,
yeah, 100%. What other way is there, honestly?
Well, here's my deal. So it just will, in the long run, you'll get the cream of the crop to start with.
Yeah.
The way it is now, there's an outside. I still think you'll get the cream of the crop, but there's still an outside chance that a guy could squeak in there, getting some waypoints, getting some help, whatever, because he can get that information up till the official practice, which is only 5 days. Now, with that being said, most of the time in the spring, that won't be as big a deal, because it's like we talked about at the beginning, things change by the minute, by the day, by the hour. In the springtime, I don't think it's as big a deal. We are getting to the time of the year when fish will get on a spot now. It's summertime, and they'll be there till fall, if that makes sense.
Oh, it does. Yeah. It makes total
now
sense.
We're kind of getting into that period of time without a flood or, some type of major weather event. There is a chance where, once fish get offshore, help is a bigger player. It is what it is. I can't waypoint a bush on the bank and tell you, Pat, that's where you're going to catch them at this week, okay?
Yeah.
But got an offshore place where fish it's easier for a guy to get waypoints and be able to run that stuff. It is what it is. And I'm not being a hater about any of it. But I'm just looking out for the best of it for everybody. If you want a guy to get in the elites and survive, he needs to have gotten there proper Bassin, man.
Yeah, 100%. And like you said, it prepares them. You don't want no schlubs in there, because it's only going to hurt them at the end.
Well, it really is. It's not really going to have any effect on our group, because our group is fixing to weed them out.
They'll be donators anyway.
Yeah, so our group is there for one reason: to eat your lunch when you get there. If you're not.
Hey, in professional Bassin, we have multiple leagues, and let's be real, there's cheating in professional bass fishing. Yeah, there really is, Greg. There really is. There's cheating in professional bass fishing. Now, I do not personally know of accounts maybe on the Elite Series. I don't really know that. But in other leagues, it seems like there's blatant forms of misbehaving. And my question to you is, do you think there's so many more of this kind of shit going on that we just don't even know about? It might seem obvious, but How much do we not know about, but other people know about it, and things are still not done about it?
So here's the deal. If you, this is just my opinion, and maybe I'm naive on this. I feel like if a guy or gal is doing that, eventually it all comes out. It may take a while. It'll work itself out. Because here's the thing about a cheater or somebody who steals or whatever. If they get by with it one time, they will continue to do it. And eventually, either in this world or the next, you will pay for it.
Yeah.
So I'm not overly concerned. I'll be honest with you. I feel like everybody, you just go out there and do what you're supposed to do and don't worry about the rest of that.
Yeah, that's
because it'll
well
work
said.
itself out.
Good.
It
Comes out in the wash.
It's coming out in the wash. One day or the next, it will come out. So you don't want to be labeled that guy. I mean, here's the deal. Again, it goes back to the respect of your peers. That's all you want. If you don't want that, you don't need to be here.
I like
if
that.
you don't respect your peers, you don't need to be with us.
Speaking of that, hey,
yeah, I feel like it'll weed itself out.
So with that being said, speaking of your peers, now is there a peer? Well, I guess they're not necessarily a peer yet, but is there an opens or an EQ qualifier competing now? Or let's just say an angler in another league that you would like to come to Bass just for the purpose of beating their ass in a tournament?
So we don't have time. That list is so long. I couldn't name only one, but
so you got some targets?
They're all a target. It's a target-rich environment. I do think there's a couple guys coming up in the opens that I look forward to seeing. Not because I want to beat them. I mean, I do, but it's not that. But I do see that I think we'll get a good group of guys out of this. I think this is the begin. So this year has changed the open so much, and it is really made it so difficult to qualify for the elites. It's hard to me personally. It's harder now to do it than it ever been before, and so I look forward to see who we get. Honestly, out of the this year.
Me too.
Yeah.
Hey, what's the biggest negative factor in bass fishing right now that you would like to see eliminated? The biggest cancer in bass fishing that you would like to see eliminated?
So here's the deal. I'm not going to put my finger on any one thing, but I'm like, I wish that, I don't know how to really say this, but I wish that we would go back to some extent in that it would just be the guys who show up and go fishing and do the best job, and not I'm kind of, the only thing I'm kind of burnt out with is everybody trying to gain. It's not even so much our group. I guess it could be, but I don't know about it. But it's like everybody's trying to gain an advantage. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's because of the goal.
I'm a huge UFC fan. I'm a big cage fighting deal. And those guys, two guys get in the ring and the best guy wins, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
It does. It's
the guy that was, but it's not the guy who was running the gray line and trying to figure out how to get an advantage on the rest of the group. That's the only thing that I would like to see go away. So here's my deal. I'm all for showing up in exactly everything. All of our equipment and all is equally the same, if that makes sense. Not the same brand. I ain't worried about that. But just everything is equally the same. And we don't know anything about the lake, and we all show up at the lake, and we've got the same 3 days of practice, and we all go out there and practice, and we fish the tournament, and we're happy with our performance, however it is. I don't want to, I haven't gotten to the point where I'm beating a system to do well, if that makes sense.
Yes.
I've always done things the same way. Okay. Methodically. I don't know how to say. I don't want to insult anybody in this, but I'm like, I want you to show up and beat me. I don't want you to show up and because you've run all the ways you can to gain an advantage over me. It's not that. I want us all to show up as equals and fish to the end, and the best man win. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know how to say that, but
you're a battler. You're a warrior.
Yeah, all this deal. I don't, and I don't want to hold back any of our equipment. I don't want to say anything about that, but think about this. I'm a professional bass fisherman, and I don't want to be what makes me a professional is because my equipment's better than everybody else's. If that makes sense.
It does. It's equal playing field.
Better than everybody else is me.
Yeah, that's the point.
You know what I mean?
You can trick fish better. That's what it needs to be.
Hey, so here's the deal. There are a lot of professional sports out there, and everybody in the game has the same equipment.
It keeps the playing field a little more level, I guess. But
exactly right. I want to beat you because I outfished you, not because I out manipulated you.
Hey, I mean, there's a certain point in an angler's career where, I guess that becomes the evident factor. Like, think of it like this. Now, you're a Star Wars guy, right?
Right.
Okay. So what was that deal? Remember when Luke cut that? I know Andy knows this. Remember when Luke cut the belly of that beast open, and he got in there to stay safe, right?
Well, it was Han Solo who cut it open, and he put Luke in there because the snow beast had hung Luke from the ceiling of the snow cave.
Yes. That's now it's all coming together. Yeah, so Han Solo, who was a pilot in real life, by the way. Yes, and that was Empire Strikes Back, correct?
That's it.
Yes.
That was probably, I hate to say this, I love Star Wars. Empire Strikes Back was probably my favorite. It's probably still to this day my favorite out of the whole series of movies.
I love Empire. And the fact that, like, okay, so here's Han Solo putting Luke Skywalker into this deal. But the point of this is Luke was in the belly, and he felt safe, yet still knew there was danger. Do you feel that way in the Elite Series right now, or in competitive angling?
The only thing I'll say about competitive angling now, I feel safe. Does that make sense?
You do feel safe or don't?
Well, I do feel safe,
okay.
But I'm not in a position that a lot of guys are in. I don't know that it's a safe time in our sport.
What do you mean by that?
I think for other reasons, like it doesn't have anything like to do with fishing. It's probably the age and where I'm at in life. Is probably what makes me feel safe to some extent.
Well,
I don't know if 30-year-old me was fishing right now, I would feel the way that 49-year-old me feels, if that makes sense.
Well,
I have things in life to. I'll be honest with you about this. I'm still at the point in my career that I don't know that I've made it. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Okay.
Okay.
Like I'm still trying to. This is one thing I know about the sport. You never make it. You got to keep making it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because if
you never get to a point as a professional bass fisherman where you can say, I made it. That's not what I'm talking about. You never get to that point. If you want to continue to do this, you never make it. You got to keep making it.
You
okay.
Stay hungry.
What I'm saying is I'm at a point in life where if I don't make it now, I can do something else, or I'll do something else. But I've not made it as a professional bass fisherman. That's the one thing I learned. I used to sit back and look at the guys like, and say, a certain group of guys have made it or whatever. You never make it in this.
It's a constant cycle. A constant cycle.
If you want to make it at this, you keep making it. You will keep. I've been doing this for whatever 20-something years, and I'm gonna be trying to make it at our next tournament. That part of it.
Do you ever get scared? Do you get scared ever?
I still get nervous to some extent, but not in the same way, you know. But the deal is, what I'm saying about that is, it's a rough, like, I guess what I'm saying is, I'm glad I'm at the point I am in my career. I would hate to want to start over right now.
you got out of jail at a good time on your own, like your friend said.
It's a hard time for a new guy to get into this. There's a lot of things going against him. It's so competitive. It's so expensive. It's, life is expensive, right? Our economy is expensive. Like, gas is expensive. I can't remember what gas was when I started doing this, but I can tell you it wasn't over $3 a gallon.
Yeah, it's smashing now.
About that. You know what I mean? Like, so a guy on a budget that's starting out doing this, I mean, that's scary. Yeah. It's scary right now to know that you would want to do this professionally. You know what I mean? Because it's a hard way to go. You got to get over the hump. You know what I mean? Like, you got to get to a point where, honestly, you can afford to do it in a way that you need to do it in. Like, if you need to drive every day 100 miles to put in at a boat ramp and burn $200 worth of truck gas and $200 worth of boat gas every day, you got to get past that point.
You have to be able to do that. You can't, because otherwise you're screwed in the head.
That's it. So it is a hard time, and it's just, you know what I mean? Like, that part of it's scary.
Yeah. It is. Hey, you're, now's the time. You're on the downtime. You don't go to St. Clair till end of July. I think you got ICAST before that, but you got time to do things now, like go hunt some skunk apes or some Sam squanches, or go spotting for aliens. You ever go spotting for aliens?
No, but it's only a matter of time before they show us pictures. They've already, the aliens out there.
I think the aliens just showed me pictures of you and Bozo the Clown, actually, earlier.
Maybe Bozo was an alien that was visiting you. What, Bozo? You know what I mean? All of a sudden, Bozo's just gone? Or maybe Bozo went home.
Are you going crabbing tomorrow?
Yes. Sarah and I are going to get some crabs tomorrow. We're going to have a little crab feast Friday afternoon. Probably boil some crab, maybe even indulge in an adult beverage. I don't know.
There you go. All right. Have a good old time. I like it, man. Well, speaking of a good old time, Greg, I thank you again for another amazing bunch of moments here on Stray Cast. Thanks, bud.
Well, it's crazy. I mean, I'm still like kind of blown away that 11 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, have you ever so who's the guest that you've had on more than me?
Well, 11 years. I've had guests on more than 11 times. You haven't won that. Like, Matt Robertson used to come on the show every week. So
I could.
but I mean, we've had, that's the fun thing about
weeks in a row.
Probably, yeah. But the thing is, the fun part about this for Andy and I is, it's just like, I guess, like, things were for other talk shows in the real world, like Letterman or Jay Leno. They have their favorite guests and their reoccurring guests that come on every year. And you and Zona and Clun, and of course Aaron was one of those guests, and Seth and Matthew and everybody, Johnny Cox, everybody we enjoy so much. Brandon, it's well,
I'm honored. Yeah. I do. I'm very honored. I do appreciate the opportunity because I enjoy it. It's always a fun time.
Well, good, man, and thank you. And it really has, and I got to tell you, thank you because those early interviews with you helped me feel comfortable. Zona said you got to get Hackney on the show, and I'm like, no, man, he's gonna come up like Rambo in First Blood behind me and slit my throat and just go shh, 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 and then just take me out. And I don't want none of that. And he's like, no, you guys are so much alike. You're going to have a hell of a good time together. So,
Well, I'm sure if you went back our first interview compared to this one, feeling it was different.
It was. I was scared. I was. You're Greg freaking Hackney, man. Bass Galaxy, give it up for the one and only Greg Hackney. Thank you, Greg.
Well, thank y'all again. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, bud. We'll see you.
Remember?
What's that, bud?
I said I'm an opportunist, so anytime opportunity arises, I'll be here.
11 weeks in a row. You just come on.
11. Yeah, I got to beat Matt Robertson's record.
You better. I'll see you at St. Clair. Have fun crabbing and enjoy your downtime.
I'll see you then.
Oh, wait, hold on, Greg. Before we go, I'll get in so much trouble. You don't know this yet, but we're doing a like and share thing where you're giving away something from your garage. So, yeah, it can be a rusty screwdriver. It could be an old bait. It could be a new bait.
What about a dinosaur head?
You want to give that away?
No.
I didn't think so.
That's a bucket list deal. Not too many people get to kill dinosaurs, so I'm
You wrestled that gator down by hand. So
I did. Well, I had him. I choked him out.
All right. So Gingy's are you gonna text it to him, or does he have it? Oh, what's that? He's on his phone. It'll be tough. Oh, okay. What do you want to send it to me?
I got it.
Oh, you got it. Oh, okay. So this is for a special item out of your garage. All the viewers had to do was like and share the live Facebook feed, and you get this one-of-a-kind item. You want to announce the winner, Greg? You got it?
I got it.
Okay.
So the winner is Chad Bennett.
Chad Bennett. Congratulations. You win an artifact from the Hackney Smithsonian Institute in Louisiana.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a hell of a prize right there. Well, thank you very much. And I'm sorry, Bass Galaxy, I almost forgot that. That would have been amazing. Greg Hackney, thanks again. And Bennett, like Chad Bennett, send a direct message to Rock and Shoal Fantasy on the Straightcast board, and Hack will get that out to you. Boom. Peace.
Send it right to you, Chad.
Peace, bud. Send me some crabs in some dry ice.
I'll send you a picture. See you.
See you, bud. Peace. Have the long hair Hackney. Holy snikes. I love when Hackney's on. Holy criminy. All right, Gingy, we got prizes to go, and you got places to go. Or places to give, and you got places to go. So we're giving away the Tin Cup Whiskey Prize of the Week. And this is a wang banger. This is the Hackney pack. I think this is the Hackney edition tin cup that was brewed specially for this episode. And the winner of that is David Brown. You lucky old sailor, you. Congratulations. You won the tin cup whiskey. Pack from Luke Foley and tin cup whiskey. Thank you very much. And the Stray Cast pack. And that's Andy and I are going to go pick this deal out. Matt Vogel. Matt Vogel, you won that. That's 3 prizes tonight on the Hack Show. Yikes. Bass Galaxy, it's been a marathon. Thank you. We burned up the school. We had to burn up the school, Ginge. So we doing Bass and Talk showing. You know what I mean? Hey, Bass Galaxy, thank you again for joining us on this trail to happy Bassin destiny. Yeah, man. Hey, we're off next week. And then we return on the 28th, is it, Ginge? With the one and only legend, Rick Clunn, on the 28th. Yes. Hey, Brian Bartlett, congratulations for your victory at Braidwood Lake past weekend for Cal-Sac bass anglers. Ichikawa Fishing, thanks for making those poisonous tipped hooks. Sims Fishing, summerwear available now. Alpha Angler custom fishing rods for custom type anglers. Half a Spot Official. Waterland, we're throwing shade these days with Waterland sunglasses. Impulse Lithium, join the army of Impulse. Bob's Jack Plate, we get all jacked up these days on Bob's. Abu Garcia in Berkeley, thank you so much for your support of this show. Crestliner and Omnia Fishing. OmniaFishing.com. They got everything you could possibly want in Bassin and so much more. They even got beef jerky. Hey, it's time, Bass Galaxy. Hit the button. Double tap or single tap. However you got it set. Pull them up. Put the power poles up. Go. Be on your way. Have fun. I bid you peace. Peace I bid you. This has been an Andrew Ellenberger Stray Cast production.